I got to be honest with you. I'm getting real tired of having to open the show like this.
You and me both, but at least this time it's a bit different.
Mm, a little bit different. Tonight's show is dedicated to the memory of the Pirate, Mississippi State coach Mike Leach, who passed away Monday night at the age of 61. Mr. Watkins, the floor is yours.
While most of you know more recently his last couple seasons at Mississippi State, it was his third head coaching stop, a long tenure at Washington State. This after he became known to all of us as the Pirate during his first head coaching stop at Texas Tech. He still was there from 2000 to 2009, leading the most recent incarnation of the air raid. It featured success. Those key players like Michael Crabtree, Graham Harrell, leading the Red Raiders to the Big 12 South title. Yes, there were controversies. Yes, there were amazing press conferences. Yes, there were guest appearances on the Friday Night Lights TV series. But while you scratched your head at times, seeing him in action and in front of a mic was always a joy. It's a crying shame, everything coming all of a sudden, but the good news is he's survived by his wife, Sharon, 4 children, 3 grandchildren. And it was a very particularly tragic end because one moment you're seeing the tweets saying to pray for him, that there was a health issue. That led to the news of the heart attack and several minutes without oxygen. And now he's gone. In some ways, I have to tell folks, especially with things like we were talking about, we'll talk about more on the All Sports show. Get checked out, please. Don't wait till it's too late if anything is going wrong and seeing a doctor.
Rushed to the hospital after a cardiac event on Saturday night, I believe.
Mm-hmm.
News broke on Sunday, and then, as you mentioned, by Monday night he was gone. Say this much. Something about those Texas Tech coaches. I mean, let's look at the general, Bobby Knight ending up there as well, right around that same time frame.
Mm-hmm.
They weren't short on personality.
No, they were not. No, they were not.
And I think that's one of the things that people are going to remember about Mike Leach is the personality.
Of course. Again, always you can see yourself being at that gas station, like in that Friday Night Lights scene. You got a guy pulling up next to you. He's like, yeah, I see what you've been doing. I see how you've been managing your guys. You got to find your inner pirate. You could just be a part of that sort of conversation.
The issue at hand becomes, did you see the, and I hope you have this pulled up, did you see the design for the Mississippi State helmet for their bowl game?
No, I have not.
I'm going to tell you to Google that and pull it up right now because I think you're going to find that Mississippi State is paying a very fitting tribute to their fallen coach for their bowl game. And the irony of this is Mississippi State was scheduled to play in the Relia Quest Bowl, formerly the Outback Bowl, which would have happened at the Big Pirate Ship in Tampa Bay.
And they've already decided their coach, fact that the players want to play. Go ahead.
They name Arnett, the defensive coordinator, as the new head coach.
Mm-hmm.
Like not even as the interim head coach. Like they actually, I believe Will Arnett is his name, if I'm not mistaken.
not Will.
No, Will's the SNL actor. Who am I thinking of?
Hold on. No, I gotta pull that up too.
You do that, I'll get the Arnett thing.
Okay. Because I'm pulling up the images for what they're doing for.
Zach Arnett is the name of the coach.
Okay.
There's a very specific reason that I want Erik to see this while we're on air, because I feel it is a very fitting tribute to Mike Leach.
Okay. See, these are the tributes, but why am I not seeing anything about the helmet? Because I see from the tributes for the stadium.
Hold on, I'll find it.
Okay.
Give me a second. Let me pull up images. I know for a fact that they released the actual visual for it, and the visual for it is stunning. All right. All right, let me see if I have it here, because this should give it. Found it. Per 24/7 Sports. If you need that right there, I can. Oh hell! Go ahead and check the in-show comments, and I sent you the link over there.
Okay.
For the page itself, and then.
Yo.
Did you just find it?
This. Yeah. Oh, stupid ad blocker. I have that up for a reason. I mean, wow. That is doing your man right.
That, as the kids would say, that is dope AF.
No cap. Between this and flying the pirate flag at half-mast at the stadium, you can tell the impact after just a couple of short years what he's meant to this school.
So the rivalry, the Mississippi State rivalry, they were talking to the Ole Miss coach, Lane Kiffin. And Kiffin was talking about the fact, because old Mississippi State beat Ole Miss there, and Kiffin was saying that he didn't know it at the time. Obviously, nobody knew it at the time, but he considers it an honor to have been a part of Mike Leach's last game as a coach.
Oh, absolutely.
Even though Mississippi State beat the brakes off of Ole Miss. What was it, like 37-15 or something like that?
He went out a winner.
Did you know? Go ahead and give me a. Mike Leach is responsible for 4 of the top 9 all-time single-season passing yardage by quarterbacks.
Given the air raid and especially the lineage at Texas Tech, I can believe that.
Graham Harrell twice, one of the Washington State quarterbacks and one of the Mississippi State quarterbacks.
Yeah.
I'd have to look up the list again in order to get the names and everything for the other 2 quarterbacks. But 4 of the top 9 seasons by yardage, the head coach of that team was Mike Leach.
And even then, you go back to before Graham Harrell, B.J. Simmons, Cliff Kingsbury at quarterback starting that lineage.
I think B.J. Simmons might have been one of the other names on that list, actually.
It would not surprise me, because he was the 5th-year senior after Kingsbury. Because when Kingsbury, Simmons, Hodges, Sonny Cumbie, then Graham Harrell, if I remember that chain correctly.
But with that being said, our thoughts and condolences to the family of the pirate. Rest in peace, sir. There is no nice way to transition away from this. As we've said before, I'm not even going to try. There's no need to attempt to be funny at a time like this. In good couth would not allow me to do so. And if there's one thing that we don't have on occasion around here, it's couth. But in this particular instance, discretion is the better part of valor. You are listening and or watching, most likely watching, let's be honest, the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report.
Sports in black and white.
A presentation of the Not a Network podcast network. I am your host. I am the voice of reason. Allegedly. My name is Harry Broadhurst. Joining me as per usual, he is the DSDO, the HNIC of the AWP podcast division, and the anchorman, he is Erik Watkins.
And yes, for those of you who happen to watch the R&R Sports Report, you're welcome for saving you from a whole 2 hours of solo rants and randy.
He actually reached out to me in order to do the show. I don't know if he told you or not. He reached out to me and I'm like, dude, I do NXT on Tuesdays for FWL. I can't. I'm like, reach out to Erik. I don't think he's got anything here. I didn't know you had a tutoring session on Tuesday, but it worked out. You were able to join for like the last hour and 50 or whatever it was, hour and 10 or whatever it was.
Oh, yeah. I even had a bit of a funny intro. Yeah, sorry I'm late. Had to tutor some statistics and give a brief explanation about Fusion. Long story.
To be fair, Fusion is always a long story. It takes 6 days in Supercard. I'll explain that when we finish the show.
No, I'm not going there. All right.
Oh, don't worry. We'll talk about gimmick infringement later on the All Sports edition. I promise you. Because there was a mainstream edition of it this particular week, and yours truly was not happy. However, for us, it's time to start the show how we always do here at the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report. It's time for Studs and Duds. I almost said the kickoff out of habit.
Old habits and old shows die hard.
Old shtick never dies. Oh, by the way, we are also live during the Thursday night football game once again here. Currently, the San Francisco 49ers are about to clinch the NFC West up 21-3 on the Seattle Seahawks. And you know what? Since I just mentioned the Seattle Seahawks, why don't we go ahead and start on the awful side of things here? Erik, my dud for the week are Geno Smith and these Seattle Seahawks for their performance against Carolina last week.
I keep trying to tell people, Geno Smith, you're going to get a different guy damn near every week. Do not fully believe this season. This is an aberration. This is a fluke. Jets and Giants fans will tell you the exact same thing.
You mentioned Rants and Randy. We were talking while the games were going on Sunday. We were messaging back and forth here. And I said, this should look familiar to you, Randy. He's playing like New York. He's playing like New York Jets Geno Smith today.
But believe me, even with his current quarterback problems, some things just don't go away. Anytime I can mention Joe Flacco, I tend to do so.
21-36 for 264, 3 touchdowns, 2 interceptions. It was only a late score by Seattle that made this game closer than what it was. By the time Seattle scored late, it was already 30-17. The late touchdown made it 30-24. An onside kick attempt was not successful, and Carolina picks up the win, moving to 5-8 on the season. This is actually a big win for Carolina, and we can kind of talk about that too as well, because with Tampa Bay losing again.
Yeah. Funny that you mentioned that. Do I hear that sound off in the distance?
I feel like there's some. I hear a barking noise.
Yeah, and not just that. This is, as you would say, a perfect segue to my dud for the week. Yeah, you mentioned Tampa Bay losing again,
falling to 6-7 on the season. Now only a single game ahead of both Carolina and Atlanta. The Saints
But
are 4-9.
But you would ask yourself, hey, Erik, you know that Tampa Bay is one of the most mid teams in the league. Why are you making them your dud for this week? Yeah, for the second time this season, America's Game of the Week on Fox had to be switched away because it was so god awful. That drubbing was at the hands of the very same Niners that are playing tonight.
It's almost like we tied everything in a nice little Christmas bow for you guys at home. We're pretty good like that.
And we don't even charge you for professional wrapping services either.
You don't want to hear us rapping, though. That's a whole different point of view, or maybe.
I mean, it depends on if I have certain things in my system. But then again, I doth not wish to draw the ire of standards and practices, so I will leave it at that.
Don't say his name; he'll appear.
You have to say it 3 times. I've only said it once. We're good.
Oh, so this is like a Candyman situation?
Candyman, Beetlejuice.
Kind of 6 of one, half a dozen of the other. All right, so the reason we bring up Tampa Bay, it was 28-0 by the time Fox finally turned away from that snore fest for Tampa Bay against San Francisco. The reason we talk about this here is Carolina's win actually propelled them to just a game out and, like I said, tied with Atlanta. Fun fact, guess who controls their destiny in the NFC South, Erik?
Is it Carolina?
It's Atlanta.
Really?
If Atlanta wins out, including a game against Tampa Bay, they would finish 9-8, and they would win the division based on an in-divisional tiebreak.
Good luck, Desmond Ridder. No pressure whatsoever.
I mean, I don't think that's going to happen. I honestly feel like Tampa Bay still wins the South, and I think they're the safe bet here. But I said this to you, and I think I said the same thing to Randy, is they're going to play Dallas in the first round of the NFC playoffs, and they're going to get their ass beat.
Yeah, and I actually, because I've said this too, I feel bad for Dallas, who's going to be finishing second in the NFC Beast, having to go on the road to Tampa Bay to slaughter them. It's going to be in some ways unfair, messing with a poor 8-9 team, Tom Brady's last ride.
It will be kind of funny to see Mike McCarthy end Tom Brady's career.
I mean, you're not wrong. Somewhere Aaron Rodgers will probably be smiling or plotting another State Farm commercial. Who knows?
Like a good neighbor, we can be bought. Or at the very least rented. Just remember, folks, we can't be bought.
But we can damn sure be rented.
Indeed. All right, so let's move over to the happy side of things, shall we?
Let's.
And you know what my happy side of things is? By any chance, do you know where the damn locker room is?
I mean, normally you go down through a specific tunnel. You got to make a couple of turns, but you can see at least some sort of signage getting you on your way there.
You know what has to happen? You have to know a guy who knows a guy who knows a guy.
Or like me, the 1 or 2 times at games, you have to be the guy talking to the guys leading into the locker room for post-game interviews.
You know who else had to ask for directions to the locker room? Baker Mayfield, stud, Los Angeles Rams. Erik, literally here, what the fuck happened?
I mean, Baker, I don't know. I said it myself. He either woke up feeling dangerous, something happened. He's just like, oh, I'm just going to throw a couple touchdown passes in the last minutes of the fourth quarter and win it. I only need to be here 2 days. Playbook? What playbook?
Just the one touchdown pass. The other was rushing.
Oh, okay.
But the point...
Some passes, but continue.
The point being is 22 of 34, I think I saw, 22 of 36. I had it pulled up, and now I've lost it somehow, and I don't know how that happened. Let me see if I can't pull up my Google Chrome again real quick and have the stats. Nope, I lost it. All right, anyways, it was like 22 of 36 or something along those lines. The numbers weren't great, admittedly. 230-something yards, I believe. It might have been 230 right on the nose. I believe Erik is actually looking up the specific numbers right now.
Of course I am.
Well, he does my math for me. That's how this works. Similar to parallel convergence, I don't do the math. He does.
And sometimes statistics as well. Just don't get me started on brackets.
Well, we'll talk more brackets in March. All right, so while he's looking that up, I'll explain the reasoning here. 2 days, technically, I think, after joining the team, Mayfield is forced into action when John Wolford gets hurt. In the game on, I believe it was it Sunday, what?
Oh, checking the Rams schedule because I found Baker's numbers.
I don't think it was last Thursday night. Was it last Thursday night? Couldn't have been.
Because
it was
with the Raiders, it was another what was supposed to be a Thursday night. Fuck this.
I take that back. It was last, because that's right. He became a Ram on Tuesday. That is right.
Mm-hmm.
So, anyways, forced into action, down, I believe, 10-3 at halftime, if I'm not mistaken. At some point, that becomes
16-3 in the fourth quarter.
A Los Angeles rushing touchdown cuts it to 16-10. A deep kickoff, they force a punt. Baker Mayfield has approximately 40-some-odd seconds to get the Rams down the field to score. I believe it was.
He had the ball at 1:45.
Really? They had that much time?
They had that much time.
Well, then that's the Raiders' fault for not getting any first downs.
Yeah, because they had a 3-and-out. They punted, and they were in their own territory when they punted. They got the punt down to the Rams 2. So 98 yards in 1:45.
Capped off with a 23-yard bullet to Van Jefferson with 3 seconds left in the game, I think it was.
10 seconds left.
Who was the one that had threes? One of the games had a touchdown pass with like 3 seconds left.
I think that was Tampa Bay against New Orleans.
Yeah, that's right. Last Thursday night. That's right. Okay, so anyways, the point being is Mayfield takes the team all the way down the field in 105 seconds.
Mm-hmm.
98 yards. That's almost a yard per second, by the way, for those of you who don't want to do the math. Like 0.92 yards per second.
First you say, hey, you do the math. Then you're starting to infringe my gimmick. I see how this goes. I see you.
Network staff not responsible for gimmick infringement. I'm not management. I'm just staff.
Mutter. Technicalities, mutter.
And the man who literally had to ask where the locker room was after the game leads the Los Angeles Rams to a 17-16 win over the Las Vegas Raiders on Thursday Night Football. So 2 things out of this here, and then I'll let you get to your stud for the week. 1, the Rams have nothing to lose by playing the win, even if it is Mayfield as the starter. Because depending on what does or doesn't happen with Wilford, hopefully the injury wasn't anything too serious, but we know that Matt Stafford's season is over.
Yep.
You could argue the Pizza Hut curse, or the Pizza
Little
Hut,
Caesars.
Little Caesars. Yeah, I'm having a rough night. The Little Caesars curse is real, apparently. It's like the Madden curse, but with pizza.
I mean, hey, the fact that they didn't automatically go with the 8 pieces of deep dish, or the fact that they're pepperoni Italian bread. Oh, no, you go for the more legitimate pizza. That was your mistake, Little Caesars.
So Stafford's season is over. Wolford is injured, and let's be honest, wasn't particularly effective when he was healthy. What do the Rams really have to lose here with starting Mayfield at quarterback for the rest of the season? A, you're not going to have a first-round draft pick anyway. You traded it to the Lions in the deal to get Stafford. B, you're not entirely out of the NFC wildcard chase yet. I mean, it's not looking great if we're being honest. I believe the Rams are 4-9.
They are.
If I'm not mistaken, and currently the bottom tier is 7-5-1. So one more loss will eliminate the Rams. But why not see what Mayfield has and see if Mayfield's either worth keeping on as a backup next season or give him an opportunity to put something out on tape in order to have another team maybe trade a couple of draft picks for him during this particular offseason.
And really, this is McVay's exact mentality. To go over the stats, as you mentioned, 22 of 35, 230 yards on the button, and that touchdown pass. So
I only missed by one incompletion. That's not bad for off the top of the dome.
Not bad whatsoever. And if you're looking at a QBR of almost 60, a passing rating of 91, yeah, go ahead. You're not getting anything off Wolford. Jenkins is your third string guy for a reason. Let Baker show what he's got. And as you said, if he decides that he's good enough to be a backup or maybe even compete for the starting job in LA, bam, you've got your next guy already in-house. Otherwise, you can go ahead, let him walk, and have another team take a shot at him being a starter. I don't know how well that's going to go, but we'll see.
I would argue that he made the case for another team to take a chance on him with his performance last Thursday night.
Yeah, but you don't want to get another case of Matt Flynn syndrome if you catch my drift.
Fair. Those one good games does not a career make. Erik, who's your stud for the week?
Somewhat similar stats, as I have to go and pull them back up again. Although in some ways a little bit better once you look past the completions. 27 for 39, 330 yards, and 3 touchdowns. I have said many a time, you put certain people in certain spots, they absolutely shine. You take them out of that spot, and there's problems. One of those people in Chris Kirk Cousins. One of those spots is a 1 p.m. Eastern kickoff. It takes a brave man to go ahead and break that sort of a jinx, no matter what the Vikings defense does. That brave man was Jared Goff. Not necessarily the happiest of times of myself for my picks, but honestly, it was worth it. To go ahead and disappoint that young kid who dressed up as him with the glasses, no shirt, and all the chains is a perfect cosplay of that scene from the airplane. Yeah. To make that kid cry like that, although we didn't actually see him crying, we won't talk about that. Jared Goff, kudos to you. One lasting memory in what will probably be your very brief time as a Detroit Lion.
See, I don't know if I agree with that, especially if the Lions continue on the trend that they're on right now. You could make the argument that the Lions are the hottest team in football right now.
They are, but if you look at that, you'll wonder, at a bare minimum, they'll be chasing a backup in this draft class.
Oh, no, I don't disagree with that. I think that Goff's time in Detroit will probably be limited, especially given what they had to give up to get him in addition to getting rid of Stafford. Because Stafford was a folk hero in Detroit. And like we've talked about before on the show, you never want to be the guy that follows the guy.
Oh, yeah. You want to be the guy that follows the guy that followed the guy. Never the guy that follows the guy.
What he said. The point of it all being is that through all of this Where's Waldo conversation here is that Goff is a serviceable NFL quarterback, and if the Lions go on a run, which right now they are currently only a game and a half out of a playoff spot after being 2-7 just a couple of weeks ago.
Who would have thought that?
Now the Lions are 6-7 and just behind both the Commanders, the Redacteds, and the Giants at 7-5-1 for the 7th seed in the NFC. The only other team ahead of them inside of the NFC standings right now are the Seahawks, who are currently getting blasted 21-6 by San Francisco. So if Detroit can put up a performance this weekend to get to 500, if I'm not mistaken, Detroit beat Seattle earlier this year.
Gonna check. No. Seattle has that head-to-head win in a 48-45 thriller.
That's okay. So that was the game that Seattle won. I remember talking about the game when it happened. 93 combined points. We talked about that. I do remember. So it was Seattle that won that. So that means that the Lions are going to have to win 2 games to the 1 for the Seahawks in order to make up that head-to-head disadvantage if it comes down to tiebreaker spots. They could pull into a virtual tie right now this week if they beat the Jets on Sunday, in addition to the Seahawks ending up going ahead and dropping this game to the 49ers.
Which crazier things have happened, and we could be going back to a tie towards the end of the season, helping 2 division rivals get into the playoffs.
This time, one that actually did happen instead of one that didn't happen. Chargers, are you paying attention? Hey, Eric. So, that happened. And I will give you the screen to discuss your college so that happened first. Unfortunately, nature calls.
So, we had talked a bit the last week about Jackson State, now with their new head coach after Deion Sanders left and took his Louis baggage and his $5 million to form his staff at Colorado. But that was not the only coaching change that happened. If you look at Big Ten West champions Purdue, Jeff Brom, their coach, he went to his alma mater in Louisville. And a team that is changing conferences in Cincinnati, they're also changing coaches, as Luke Fickell went ahead and took the job at Wisconsin. So already the coaching carousel in college football is coming thick and fast. Lest we forget, former Temple head coach and now you could say disgraced Carolina Panthers head coach, former Matt Rule, also joining in the Big Ten, taking the job at the University of Nebraska.
Let's not forget Matt Rule was also the head coach at Baylor before he went to Carolina as well. He turned Baylor into a national powerhouse. Didn't they win like 11 games and make the New Year's Six under him?
Was that him? Because I could have sworn, yeah, because I think, did he go to Baylor after he was at Temple?
Correct.
Okay, so then yes, that was him. Temple, Baylor, Carolina, now Nebraska. Good luck in turning around that ship. So,
well, he does have one thing in his benefit. He's not Scott Frost. And after the failed Scott Frost experiment in Nebraska, I think that they're ready to move on from the hype that was Frost coming in off of University of Central Florida to try to bring his program back to prominence.
We still don't talk Scott Frost around these parts.
We don't pick him either. Some people never learned that lesson. I'm just saying.
You know, I'm not drunk enough for you to be right now. I'm putting that on record.
Just saying. All right. Yeah. So here's the biggest domino that I think hasn't fallen yet. Do we see Urban Meyer as a coach in 2023? Does he return to the collegiate game, or do you think he stays on the set of the Big Ten kickoff?
I think he stays on the set of the Big Ten or Fox's a Big Noon kickoff for another year.
Big Noon kickoff, sorry. But it is mostly specifically about the Big Ten because most of the people on the panel are from the Big Ten schools.
And now with the landscape of Big Ten football changing and the new Big Ten football deal with CBS, we wonder how that's going to go. So see him as a bit of a trial run with the new broadcasting era in 2023, but I wouldn't be surprised if he has one more shot at on the sidelines come 2024.
It's going to be interesting to see what happens, and I think even more so as the expansion from the West Coast towards the East Coast starts to become a thing as well, like we talked about before with UCLA and USC trying to join the Big Ten.
Oh, and that's not the only thing that is mumbling around, not just for that West Coast expansion, but in the Big Ten in particular. More on that next week.
Dun dun dun.
Dramatic doggo indeed. Super deep tease.
Super dramatic doggo. We're making you wait 7 days for it.
Oh, yeah. There's a moving and a shaking in a lot of places with a lot of major acronyms getting involved.
Oh, heads up. Meant to tell you this. We need to figure out the plan for 2 weeks. Mm-hmm. We'll do that off air, but I did you mentioning next week made me think of 2 weeks and the 29th, and well, you can guess why we're talking about that.
Yeah, I have a feeling it's going to be another light week for the network of that week. So,
but we can figure something out. We'll just have to make it work earlier. All right, let's get back into it here. So I kind of teased mine while Erik was talking about his there with the coaching changes there, and I mentioned the fact that the landscape of the Big Ten is changing with that everything there, and now we know for a fact that it legitimately is changing, at least for one of the two schools involved. USC has not gotten its permission to move to the Big Ten yet, but UCLA has.
I'm going to give a little bit of an asterisk to that.
I'm listening.
The reason why the big deal for UCLA, the University of California, Los Angeles.
Is it because it's a state university, they had to go through the Board of Regents?
Correct. They are part of the UC system, whereas the University of Southern California, right, they're a private institution. And again, we'll be talking about private institutions next week.
Unintentional assisted deep tease. Mm-hmm. Well, so the big rub with UCLA and USC joining was pending approval of the California Board of Regents for UCLA. Because if UCLA can't go, then USC is kind of pointless going to the Big Ten by themselves. The Board of Regents in California has tentatively approved the UCLA move, but has labeled conditions on it as well. Did you see this story on ESPN?
I did, as a matter of fact, in a couple of other places as well. The Board of Regents realized the position that they were in as far as UCLA making the move. They did vote to approve it 11-5, giving all systems go. However, with the specific conditions that you mentioned, the University of California, Berkeley.
I was just about to do that, and since this is my STH, I'm going to go ahead and do so. UCLA is actually going to have to pay Cal Berkeley upwards of anywhere from $2 to $10 million a year, depending on lost financial revenue from the Pac-12 deal, from the Pac-12 media deal. So depending on what kind of media rights deal the Pac-12 ends up striking, which obviously University of California at Berkeley is still a part of, losing the marquee programs like UCLA and USC to the Big Ten, specifically UCLA's involvement as a public university, UCLA is going to have to supplement
subsidize
the income lost by University of Cal from signing an inferior media deal than they would have gotten with UCLA and USC still involved. They said the number would be revisited once the Pac-12 media rights deal was worked out. And it's going to depend on where the Pac-12 media rights end up as well, because currently it's at Fox, but they're in negotiations, and there is talk going around that the Pac-12 media rights might move to ESPN.
Which wouldn't surprise me, especially after the, let's face it, lackluster Pac-12 network. So if I'm ESPN, it's like, well, we've got the SEC network, we've got the Longhorn network. Why don't we just go ahead and add in the Pac-12 network for good measure?
See, I think the Longhorn network does. once Texas moves to the SEC.
Yeah, because again, they're already in the SEC. All the programming and everything else changes over. That makes sense.
Redundant network is redundant.
Hmm.
But so we'll have to revisit this once we find out the media rights deals for the Pac-12 when they do end up signing here, because this move could end up, whatever extra finances they end up making from the Big Ten, this could just as easily cost UCLA in media rights going to Cal Berkeley as well.
And not just that either. There was another set of conditions that the UC Board of Regents laid on UCLA.
I did not see the second set, so I will let you go ahead and take the floor for this one.
What they have to do is, first of all, as part of UCLA, because of their now longer distance trips that they're going to have to go on, all UCLA athletes must have breakfast and lunch available on campus. No restrictions. So that's going to be meal plans, etc. Plus, there has to be what the board called significant investment in travel, mental health, being able to get proper nutrition on the road and everything like that. So you're looking at about 11 to 12 million dollars in that realm, where UCLA said we already have our plans in place for when we get there.
Well, I would argue that the NIL deals that everybody's signing these days, if you can find the right sponsor to help cover that, then it won't be a problem.
Hashtag deep tease number 3.
Dun dun dun.
And this is all I'm saying is
that's right. It is a double dramatic doggo.
Yeah, next week is going to be a doozy for my So That Happened. I might have to kind of double dip-ish maybe, because there's two monumental things going on that kind of tie in together.
All right, so let's move forward to our NFL So That Happened, shall we? And I will go first here since I gave you the lead on the college So That Happened here. I feel bad. I wish him a speedy recovery. But I'm going to use the exact way I phrased it to you on the Discord. Call of Kyler has some modern rehab ahead.
I mean, look, it's a long time. It's a long season and off season. He will come back 2023, 10th prestige, and everything will be okay.
I would make the argument it might not be the worst idea to have him sit out the 2023 season, because this is, traditionally speaking, for those who don't know, Kyler Murray, when the Cardinals played this past Sunday, or Monday night, against New England, third play of the game, Murray tore his ACL. Scrambling out of the pocket, went on a quarterback keeper and tried to make a cut move on a New England Patriot defender and legit went down untouched, non-football contact injury. Like the bad ones. Because usually the ones where you get hit, you kind of have an understanding as to how it happened, and it's easier to figure out the best way to resolve that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, he straight up blew an ACL trying to plant his foot. It looked bad. Like you could see his leg buckle when he tried to plant. It was gross. Like I'm watching Raw, and I'm flipping over on the commercials and stuff because that's what I do for Monday Night Football, because I'm a wrestling loyalist, and anybody who knows me knows that. The only way I watch Monday Night Football all the way through is if the Bills are playing. So I'm flipping over on the commercials, and I'm like, I flip over the game, and Colt McCoy's in the game for the Cardinals, and I'm like, how the f did that happen? And then I look up what happened, and then I see the clip, and I'm like, oh, shit, that's not good.
That's what happened.
Yeah. So that happened. But we here at the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report send our best wishes for a speedy recovery to Mr. Murray. I know we've had a little bit of fun at his expense with regards to the Call of Duty comments here. If there's one thing that I know, top-level quarterbacks, top-level NFL players, when these kind of injuries happen, this makes or breaks a career.
Mm-hmm.
Here is where we'll find out if Kyler Murray wants to be an NFL quarterback still. Because if Kyler Murray still wants to be an NFL quarterback, he will bust his ass, and I have no doubt that he'll try in order to make it back at some point next season or to be fully ready for the start of the 2024 season.
And if not, hey, now starting for your Las Vegas A's, number 1, Kyler Murray.
You know it's a homer because the pitcher just said, "Don't." One of my favorite lines. All right, sir. So that happened, NFL edition.
Yeah. You know how we talk about roughing penalties, and you know how this season there's been, especially with roughing the passer, we had a whole segment of an episode talking about it. Well, the competition committee and the powers that be in the league are like, yeah, fans are mad. Yeah, we get it. We're going to do something that'll potentially make it even worse. Word came down that now the NFL is not only going to be revisiting roughing the passer and hits on defenseless players, they could potentially be going the college route and considering ejections on those sorts of hits.
Okay, so here's my thought to that.
Mm-hmm.
Clear and obvious targeting, I would not be opposed to that.
Me neither.
But if you're getting thrown out of a game over some of the bullshit roughing the passer calls we've seen this season, they're going to be big mad, and there's no reason to blame them.
You're not wrong. We already have infringement on my gimmick. Really? Really? Now sacked from Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report?
Sports in black and white.
Number 5. Really? Really? Oh, at least I'm dealing with you in the comments instead of, being...
Don't!
I'm not. I didn't say the name. We're still at 1. We're still at 1. Still at 1.
Don't tempt him. In this particular instance, we walk alone. Anyways. No, that would be stupid.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, so I understand that they have like the unsportsmanlike conduct penalties now, where if you get 2 unsportsmanlike conduct penalties in the game, you can get kicked out. And right. I'm okay with it. I'm okay with that. Because you want to act like a dick, then so be it, you know?
Exactly. What the... Go on.
That being said, when it comes to the roughing the passer calls, a lot of times those are unstoppable hits too.
True.
Like you see the defender try to put the brakes on, and they're unable to do so in the amount of time that they're allotted in order to do so. So to further penalize them by ejecting them from the games, it's not going to do them any favors.
You're not wrong. And Troy Vincent, former Patriots wide receiver, part-time defensive back, who is in the league front office, has said, yes, there are a lot of different categories of personal foul penalties. We don't want to go ahead and add any extra unnecessary review element to things like this. And he knows when you're discussing ejections, it would follow the college procedure of reviewing these hits for roughing the passer and determining when ejections would apply. I would hope that the league listens to Troy and exercises a lot of caution going into the winter meetings and when the competition committee meets in the offseason to discuss this rule for next year. Because if you do it right, okay. But we don't trust the NFL to do it right. Go back to the reviewable pass interference fiasco season.
I'm getting a message in my headset that says if there is a way for Goodell to fuck this up, he will.
Yeah, mm-hmm. That's why the owners are paying him the big bucks. Oh, wait, did I say that out loud?
I will say this much, and when you originally brought this to my attention, do you remember my exact comment to you?
I can pull it back up.
I can tell you right now, it was, yes, because this league doesn't favor the offenses enough as it is already. What's next? Are we gonna start throwing people out of games for tugging on jerseys? Are we gonna start throwing people out of games for accidentally hitting somebody when they're close to the sideline? Give me a break.
Yeah, we want the football players to actually, play. That's part of it. So you don't want to go too far unless you want to see more games like 66-63 Incarnate Word's upset over Sacramento State in the FCS playoffs last week.
Fun fact, YSU actually played Incarnate Word last year.
Oh.
And beat them at Stambaugh Stadium, 44-41.
Oh, wow.
YSU then proceeded to win 3 games the rest of the season, but I digress.
Nah, I've had years like that.
This year they went 7-4, and if they wouldn't have gotten upset by Missouri State, they would have made the playoffs. Because an 8-3 Missouri Valley team gets into the postseason.
Absolutely. Missouri Valley strong.
2 of the 4 semifinalists in FCS are Missouri Valley teams, North and South Dakota State.
Case in point, we discussed that. And
in addition to the aforementioned Incarnate Word and Montana State.
Yeah, I made my predictions on that one. You go with the powerhouse North Dakota State, although I'm personally thinking Montana State can go ahead and pull an upset.
North Dakota State did not win the Missouri Valley this year, though. They got beaten by South Dakota State during the regular season.
Border rematch, question mark? We'll see.
Would not surprise me. It would be number 1 versus number 3. All right, let's move forward. I'm a survivor. I'm not going to get... I feel like we need that clip for when we do this segment.
Well, if a certain producer who may or may not be lurking somewhere would happen to produce things, I will go ahead and add that to the list.
Did somebody summon the producer?
I knew you were there the whole time.
I know you knew I was here the whole time. You can't summon me on air and not expect me to actually show up.
Can I shoo you away?
No.
Why not? It's my show.
I'll leave of my own volition, though.
Now, keep in mind, I didn't say your name 3 times, so I don't know exactly why you're here.
Oh, he had just left when you said that. All right. So last week was not good for any of us in I'm a Survivor. And I literally mean any of us, because all 4 of us who are doing the season-long picks, we all got our Survivor game wrong.
Yeah.
Oops.
Jared Goff is still a stud, but I digress.
I'm about to make your day even worse, Eric. I
see what you're doing there.
I said sorry.
I see. That's okay. I get it, though. I get it.
I originally put sorry, Eric, but it was too much space for one line, and it bled over into Brian's column.
Yeah, I would have had to fix the spacing on that one.
Into your column, excuse me, because our pick thing goes me, you, Brian, John. But I for me, the low-hanging fruit this week is Dallas over Jacksonville.
Yeah.
Although, to be fair, you would have thought the low-hanging fruit last week was Dallas over Houston, and, well, the Texans made a game out of it until the last drive in the fourth quarter.
Well, look at what Brian said 2 weeks ago when he picked Kansas City. Oh, low-hanging fruit is delicious. Oh, low-hanging fruit just maybe rotten.
Well, to be fair, Kansas City was at Cincinnati, who had beaten them twice in a row.
I didn't want to tell them that wasn't low-hanging fruit, but...
So, my pick for this week for I'm a Survivor, I'm going to take the Dallas Cowboys over the Jacksonville Jaguars.
Look, fuck Kirk Cousins and fuck Kansas City.
Somewhere Robert Taylor is not happy with him.
No, I would think not. And he's probably going to be, well, at least Brian is going to be more mad at me because, yeah, I am taking Kansas City as my survivor. I mean, yes, with Houston, yes, with their fight back, yes, almost winning the Lone Star Showdown. Really, that was a fluke on so many levels. You don't have a quarterback. Pretty sure you don't have a GM. Who knows what you've got going down in Houston?
I'm pretty sure Davis Mills has been hit so hard he thinks he's back at Stanford.
Well, I mean, he didn't even start last week, so what does that tell you?
That means he probably does wish he was back at Stanford. Then who the hell is the starter in Houston currently?
Please hold while I specify
Okay.
name of said jobber.
All right. So basically, the answer to that question is must be Googled. Something broke Erik, and I'm not sure what it was.
Yeah, does the name Jeff Driscoll ring a bell?
We'll talk more about the Florida Gators here in a little bit, I promise.
Yeah, Jeff Driscoll and Kyle Allen are your two. I believe Allen is the one who's been getting more of the action, but Driscoll might have started against the Cowboys.
Millions of NFL fans everywhere just went, who the fuck is Kyle Allen?
Kyle Allen out of...
I mean, people...
University of Houston, a local boy.
Well, that explains it.
Am I the only person that didn't know who knew who Kyle Allen was?
I knew who Jeff Driscoll was because, Gators. I had no idea who Kyle Allen was. The only Allen I'm familiar with in the NFL is Keenan, the one who can't stay healthy in Los Angeles playing for the Chargers.
Who can stay healthy for them at wide receiver?
This is fair. That is a walking mass unit of a wide receiver quarter. Keenan Allen, Mike Williams. Good grief. Didn't the running back Austin Eckler blow out a knee a couple of seasons ago too?
Uh-huh.
Nobody can stay healthy. Tyrod Taylor getting his lung punctured.
I'm telling you, they should have never have left San Diego. That was their problem.
Those things did not happen in San Diego. I'm just saying. All right. So, is it time to pour one out?
I mean, thankfully, yes, because
both of us have reasons to celebrate here. If our producer is still around, he's more than welcome to discuss the happenings of last week's game. He seemed really excited to talk about it a couple of weeks ago when the Jets won.
The producer has no comment.
Funny, you would have laid perfect odds of him saying that, and I would have paid them out at 20-12.
Hey-yo! Give yourself a monkey! I have a quick question for you. Does Mike White owe Matt Milano money?
I have no idea.
I am not kidding when I say this. Like, okay, I shit talk during games. It's what you do as an NFL fan. You're supposed to shit talk during games.
Of course.
When Mike White and Randy and I are talking during the game, because obviously Bills fan, Randy's a Jets fan, we're messaging on Messenger back and forth throughout the game there. And Milano hits Mike White the second time. The spear will go with. As perfect a form tackle hit as you could put on somebody in today's NFL and not get flagged, because he hit him clean. He did not follow him down. He did not make contact with the head. He hit him dead ass with the shoulder right in the stomach.
Yep.
I legit thought he put Mike White in the hospital, and it turns out after the game he did.
I figured as much. I mean, you can't go taking shots like that to the ribs and not have to spend time in a hospital room.
He went via ambulance to the hospital after the game. Bruised ribs. He is questionable for Sunday.
20-12 odds someone's blue name is not happy last week. Well, sometimes your name is blue for a reason. Sometimes you lose to teams who wear blue for another reason. Circle of life, yada, yada, yada.
Circle of wagons. Isn't that right, Mr. Nielsen?
I regret to inform you the person you are trying to summon is not currently available. Please try your request again, never.
That was me getting revenge on Jonathan for the Circle the Wagons comment on the Nielsen ratings about a week and a half ago.
Yeah. Sometimes when fandom and keeping it real goes wrong.
Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report.
Sports in black and white.
FAAFO edition. Google, kids, if you don't know. All right. You actually had a pretty happy little week yourself this past Sunday as your Go Big or Go Homer went super homer. Jacksonville beat the brakes off of Tennessee.
I mentioned this in the R&R Sports Report. Derrick Henry, King Henry, as he is known throughout large swaths of the South. I kept begging and pleading with you, find a deal to come home. We showed you don't necessarily belong in Tennessee. Yes, you had a great first quarter. No disregarding or shaming that. You ran for 2 yards in the second half. I'm going to say that again. You ran for 2 yards in the second half. The whole last half of football.
The King has been more of a commoner this season. Let's be honest. More games than not, Henry has not shown up to the level with which you would expect him to do so, especially with the way that he was just trucking folks over the last 2 seasons.
Well, we both have our respective experiences with that.
I still don't think we found Josh Norman.
I mean, he's probably somewhere low Earth orbit. Maybe he's the one who caused that leak at the space station that I heard about on the news by bumping into it.
My career. The aforementioned Cowboy game is next up for you guys. Any expectations, realistic though they may or may not be?
Realistically, we've got the momentum, and Trevor Lawrence is really hitting his stride. He said himself he's had a switch flipped in him, and that's great. But although the defense looked a bit banged up, we saw what they did to Indianapolis. Am I saying it'll be 54-19 bad? No. But if we can keep it within 1 score, I'm not going to be mad, especially since we set ourselves up for a Week 18 showdown, which, all things being equal, could be the division on the line.
You guys are what, 2 games behind Tennessee right now? Tennessee's set.
Yeah,
Tennessee.
Two
Tennessee
games
is 7-6. You guys are 5-8.
Mm-hmm.
And then I think Indy is 5-8 as well, or are they 4-9?
Indy is 4-8-1.
Oh, that's right. They had the tie earlier this year, and then against Houston, because Houston's 1-10-1, or
1-11-1 now.
1-11-1 after the loss to Dallas. I mean, realistically speaking, it's going to depend on how things play out in the rest of your games here. Nobody's expecting you to beat Dallas. I'm obviously not expecting you to beat Dallas, but you do have, like you said, momentum going on your side, having gotten that head-to-head win against Tennessee.
Oh yeah, we got the head-to-head win
in Nashville, no less, at Municipal Stadium.
Right, at Municipal Stadium, soon to be whatever fancy new stadium they have in mind, which actually looks great. That's beside the point. And
San Francisco misses a field goal, still up by 15, 21-4, 5 minutes left in the fourth quarter. So technically, still a 2-score game. It would have been a 3-score if San Fran had hit the field goal.
But this is one of the things that Randy and I, we went over. We've got the Cowboys, then we travel to MetLife to play his Jets. Then we've got the Texans.
Your game against the Jets is next week's TNF.
Right. Then meanwhile, for Tennessee, they have to go to LA to play the Chargers. Then they get the Texans and Cowboys at home.
Chargers coming off of a big win over the Dolphins on Sunday Night Football this past week.
If the Chargers handle their business, Randy likes his chances as far as the Jaguars beating the Jets compared to the Titans beating the Chargers. If everything else is equal, Cowboys win both, Texans lose both. We go ahead and beat the Jets on a short week. Again, week 18, the division on the line in Duval. I'm liking the sound of that. Whether it happens to be determined, but it puts my mind at ease, at least for this last month of the season.
Obviously, signs of progress overall in Jacksonville this season, regardless.
Very much so.
And more than likely, all but guaranteed a second place finish in the division, which will be something that I think you'll consider a marked improvement over the last couple of years.
Yeah, I mean, I said there was a shot that we could get second place, and I even said on our predictions, if all things go right, 9-8, sneak a division title or second place, even at a good 7-10 floor. It's not bad. This is a sign of a good upward trajectory that I haven't seen in, 5 years.
I would argue the last time you guys were relevant in the playoff conversation was 2017 when you went to the AFC title game.
Yeah. Miles Jack, yeah. The rest hated us even then. Something about the Patriots and playoff games in Foxborough where the referees get awful friendly.
I feel like Brady's just waiting for those same referees to show up in Tampa, and it's just not happening.
No. Belichick and Kraft have already got those deals. Besides, if any of them happen to visit any massage parlors in Florida, they do that in the off season. But I digress.
That being said, them Cubanese women.
I mean, Cubans, you got some fine Puerto Ricans in Orlando, not to mention those Asian massage parlors are no joke. But again,
digression.
Mm-hmm.
You have to ask me about this week.
So,
yes.
You have a big win against the Jets. Now you're at home against another division rival. Maybe some issues at quarterback. A lot of things going on. You said yourself off air when we were making our Are You Serious picture, staying away from division rivalry games. Absolutely fine. But realistically, how do you feel about this week?
This particular game I'm staying away from just because there's a phrase that we have, and I'm sure you're familiar with it, of talk shit, get hit.
Mm-hmm.
And that's kind of what happened to Buffalo last time they played Miami.
Mm-hmm.
The Bills went into that first game against the Dolphins overconfident and paid for it as Tua's concussed ass led the Dolphins. And I don't say that flippantly. It's been pretty much scientifically proven that he had a concussion.
Mm-hmm.
Led the Dolphins to a come-from-behind victory over the Bills in week 5?
The concussion, the butt punt, Ken Dorsey throwing things.
Here's the difference now. That particular... You want to go ahead and read that real quick? Go ahead.
Yeah, glad to see I wasn't the only one who didn't forget about the massage parlor thing. Pepperidge Farm remembers massage parlors. Continue.
Deshaun Watson's attorney would like to speak to you. Headphone warning. Sorry about that. Anyways, the difference is when we went to Miami to play, it was 60 degrees and rainy.
Mm-hmm.
It might hit 30 in Buffalo on Saturday, maybe. Now, granted, it's no Snow Bowl getting moved like the game against the Browns did. And the Dolphins have said that they're preparing to play the Bills, not the weather, which is about the dumbest fucking thing I have ever heard.
Well, let's see. Saturday, 70% chance of precipitation, high of 33 going the day before the game. Sunday, 20%.
Game is Saturday.
Oh, yeah.
Saturday.
Yeah, 33, 70% chance of precipitation. Wind projected at 16 miles an hour.
But they're not getting ready to play the weather. They're getting ready to play the Bills.
Right.
Remind me again, Eric, where did Tua Tagovailoa play his college football?
University of Alabama.
Where has he played his entire NFL career?
Miami.
Where are those two states located?
Pretty much in my neck of the woods here in the Southeast.
What don't you guys get a ton of in the Southeast?
Not a lot of snow. It's very rare we deal with any sort of snow.
I am fairly certain that the only time in the past that Tua Tagovailoa has played in the snow is the game he played against Buffalo. I believe it was last year.
I believe you're correct. And
the Dolphins got their asses whooped in that game.
Speaking of, okay. Lake effect snow warning remains in effect from 7 p.m. Friday to 1 p.m. Eastern Sunday. So the entire day of Saturday, and that's right from the National Weather Service. They're not saying a lot, but accumulations in the more persistent snows of up to 1.5 feet.
Which is not enough to close the roads or shut down the stadium. Like the great monstrosity, the Kareem Hunt worth of snow we got against the Browns. But I guarantee it'll be more than enough to throw off Tagovailoa and the rest of that Dolphins offense that isn't used to playing in freezing weather with white shit on the ground.
Of course not, especially...
It's Miami. There's probably white shit on the ground. It's just not snow.
No, there hasn't been that since the 80s, okay? Most of the people have moved on. Emphasize most.
I feel like now would have been the perfect time to play the Miami Vice theme song. Anywho, the point being is, we talked about this before. Circumstances make fights. They talk about that in MMA. Well, they also make football matchups. Home field advantage is a real thing in certain cities. When you're a team who plays damn near down near the equator, and you're coming up to snowy-ass Buffalo in December, you can't tell me that that's not going to affect them. And the Bills are going to be hungry because, A, they have the number 1 seed in the AFC on the line.
Yep.
B, they have a division that they're currently well in charge of by 2 games and would like to make it 3.
Yep.
Because right now it's Buffalo at 10-3, then Miami at 8-5.
Yeah, so with this one...
Followed by the Patriots and the Jets at 7-6.
Yeah, so with this one, if you guys win, you would not mathematically clinch, but you'd be awful close.
Splitting the regular season series would be the only thing preventing us from clinching the division this week.
Right.
Because at 11-3, the best any of the other teams could do would be 11. No, it would clinch the division.
Wait, because you would be 11-3.
The Dolphins.
So the worst you could do is 11-6.
The Dolphins would fall to 8-6.
So they would be 11-6 as well.
It would depend on division. Buffalo does already have 2 losses in the division. I don't know how many Miami has.
Miami is 2-1 in the division. Buffalo is 2-2. So they have an extra divisional game in hand
that they haven't played yet. Because we lost to Miami, we lost to the Jets, then we beat New England, beat the Jets. This game against Miami, we closed the regular season against New England.
So
it wouldn't clinch the AFC East, but it would do everything but, more or less.
Oh, yeah, because the Dolphins, they have to go New Year's Day to Foxborough, week 17. Then they close with the Jets at home, week 18. So that game at Gillette will help determine your fate as far as the division being clinched or not.
Oh, are you familiar with the golf term dormy? That's what this would do to the division. If Buffalo beats Miami on Saturday afternoon at 4:25 on NFL Network, it would dormy the division. Buffalo would be 3 up with 3 to play.
Yep, gonna say dormy 3.
Did you see the other big breaking news out of Buffalo this week?
A sneaky little necessary surgery that's a bit unfortunate. Oh no.
Positive news for Buffalo.
Go on.
Welcome back, Cole Beasley.
Okay. 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 I get.
After a sit-down conversation with Sean McDermott and Bills GM Billy Beane, Cole Beasley has signed a free agent contract coming out of retirement to return to the Buffalo Bills. To make room on the roster, the Bills have released Marquez Stevenson. Words, Watkins, words.
I have none.
I am admittedly hesitant about this decision. And the reason I say that is because it did not end well last year for Cole in Buffalo.
Yeah.
Cole performed well, but Cole was a locker room distraction.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't want to take certain shots at certain things. You want to dodge certain topics and all.
We're not doing that because we're going to get kicked off of youtube.com by searching for Not a Network Podcast or by searching specifically for the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report. Segue! That was butter smooth. Thank you. Twitter.com/not-a-network at not-a-network pods or twitch.tv/AWP podcast. New name coming 2023.
What do you mean, what the hell is with the plug heavy show tonight? It's not like I'm sitting around saying that, hey, you should go back into the YouTube archives and look up the most recent episode of R&R Sports Report, where I went ahead and filled in with Rancid Randy Isbell. Or you can also listen to his show Tuesday nights when we're not doing parallel convergence here at the Not a Network Network. 6 to 8 Pacific, 9 to 11 Eastern. It's not like I'm going into that whole spiel.
4 to 6 Hawaiian. But back to the Cole Beasley thing in Buffalo here. My only concern is how does this interrupt the team's chemistry? I would argue that talent-wise, this is an excellent decision. And the reason I say that is you have two burners on either side of Beasley in Davis and Diggs.
Mm-hmm.
So Beasley's going to be that guy that gets the tough yards over the middle. Rather or not his presence in the locker room separates the team like it did last year, or rather it galvanizes the team in order to make that deep playoff run an extra piece, an extra target for a clearly less than 100% Josh Allen. That remains to be seen.
I was this close to making another chemistry joke, but I'm not gonna. Well, if you sack the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report and you're doing this with parallel convergence, what? Does this mean you're still going to get a disembodied Dr. Manhattan?
Why are you punishing the one who isn't shit talking? The fuck did I do? Anyways, Erik, I got a question for you. Are you serious? The interrobang makes its return.
Oh boy, last week.
I actually had a pretty decent week outside of Army-Navy not going our way.
Now, to be fair, I told everybody, go ahead and take the over.
Okay, yeah, you got real lucky with that, sir.
Thank you, overtime. Mwah!
You magnificent overtime having bastards. I went in our actual NFL picks. I went 3-1 straight up and 2-2 against the spread. So I'm pretty happy with that.
Yeah, overall, believe it or not, your season and straight up and against the spread, your season records are damn near identical. That usually doesn't happen.
They are. I just have a tie separating. Stupid push. And in this instance, it's not a straight up push, which Erik actually has one of. You also have 2 against the spread pushes too.
Yep.
The kind of ironic thing of this is you lead the straight up, but I have the ATS lead, which is weird that it's mixed. Touchdown by Felicia. Is he going to make it? He's going. Oh, no, we got knocked out at the 1.
Yeah, they had the angle on that one, but I mean, at this point.
Uh-oh, he's hurt. Oh, nope, he's okay. He's just tired. But in fairness, is Seattle out of timeouts? Well, that's game anyway.
Yeah, Seattle's out of timeouts. They're down 21-13.
Yeah, so it didn't make sense for him to score there anyways.
No. Go ahead, take your knee.
You remember
celebrate your division win. Oh, yeah.
You remember the Cleveland Jets game earlier in the season?
Mm-hmm.
When, what's his name? Was it Hunt? It was Hunt.
Yep.
Hunt could have taken a knee inside of the 15 and instead chose to score, and then the Jets scored twice in like the last 2 minutes to win the game.
The elite Joe Flacco doing his thing. Yes, Randy, I said it.
And Brock Purdy, Mr. Irrelevant, has now won 5 in a row. Well, not himself specifically, but the 49ers have won 5 in a row, 21-13 tonight. First rookie quarterback to win first 2 starts. I missed part of it. I saw as the first rookie quarterback to win his first 2 starts, one of which against a Super Bowl MVP.
One of which against a Super Bowl winning quarterback and another against a Super Bowl winning head coach. And
Carroll. Double dip.
Of all the rookie quarterbacks to face Tom Brady in their first start, Brock Purdy is the first to win. Lowest drafted quarterback to start an NFL game since 1974. First ever Mr. Irrelevant quarterback to get an NFL start.
That was like 6 different squid bits in one there.
Yeah, thank you. I gotta say, fuck Jeff Bezos, but thank you, Amazon NFL Stats Department.
And hello, Detroit Lions, ... You know what, Erik? Why don't we start there, shall we?
Yeah.
Fuck it. Let's go full incineration here. We'll start with the underdogs. And my first underdog pick of the week is the Detroit Lions plus 1.5 against the New York Jets.
Look, all I'm saying with that one is this. We've seen what Jared Goff can do with the mojo. We have seen potentially the eliteness that is Joe Flacco. If a certain someone wants to come back in at this point, don't even care, because I think this is a pretty safe bet.
Did you see that he's going to be QB2 for the game? They're not. They're sitting Mike White.
So it's Zach Wilson?
Zach Wilson is QB2.
Oh, this could get spicy. This could get spicy. Although, granted, it's at home, so he doesn't have to worry about doing any cougar hunting in Detroit. Anyways.
God, you stole my cougar joke. You suck. My other underdog pick here, I said I was avoiding that division game, Buffalo-Miami specifically. Mm-hmm. There is another divisional game that I am not avoiding, and that is going to be the Baltimore Ravens +3 against the Cleveland Browns. Deshaun looked better this week than he did the week before. Not good, but better.
Mm-hmm.
But this Browns team is a mess right now.
Yeah, but who's going to be a quarterback for the Ravens?
I don't know, and honestly, when it comes to picking against Cleveland, I don't care.
Fair enough.
Because Baltimore has something going against them for them right now that Cleveland does not. Baltimore has momentum because Baltimore is still in the midst of a division title race. And if that doesn't motivate the rest of that Ravens team and John Harbaugh, nothing will.
You have a point there. You really do.
So I will take the Baltimore Ravens +3 at home against the Cleveland Browns. 4:00 NFL Network Saturday.
Well, with my underdogs, I'm not going to go back to any sort of painful memories in certain fandoms of a certain Super Bowl against a certain team where they got crushed and kept going with the streak. I'm not going to go there. Not entirely. But there is lineage to this one, though. Would it make you feel better if I said that there would be at least some small measure of karmic justice and family revenge? Yeah, I see the face. I will explain.
I doth be perplexed.
Broncos country, you're fried. That man y'all talked about.
Do that 1 second.
Okay.
There's a specific reason. Do that 1
Okay.
second.
Okay. So you want me to go Homer first? All right, I definitely will. It paid off for me last week in spectacular fashion. So I decided, while I've got a good streak going, why not double down, pull a James Holzhauer, push in my chips, and do it one more time. It was a fantastic game. Trevor's got a hot hand. He's got the chip on his shoulder. And I don't think the Cowboys are going to be able to replicate their success, especially in the fourth quarter, against the Jaguars like they did against the Colts. While it may not again be an outright win.
Or the Texans.
Or the the Texans, different measure of fourth quarter success. One historic blowout, one come from behind.
Enough to win a game that they should have won.
Exactly. So it may not be an outright win, which I would be fine with, but if the Jaguars covered, that would put me at ease. Duval, keep it going. +4 against them boys.
I mean, part of me kind of wants to see Trevor Lawrence smack Dallas around, if only because I have my rivalry week in my fantasy football league this year, for this season. So I have a group of wrestling friends and stuff that we do a fantasy football league. We've done it for years. And a couple of years ago, I won the league at 13-1 in the regular season and won all 3 games in the postseason because it was a 10-team league. We did top 8 make the playoffs.
Okay.
I lost once. I was 9-0 when it happened.
Oof.
And the running joke became that he was the Lesnar to my Undertaker with regards to the streak break back at WrestleMania 30. This matchup now, when I take on my friend Mark Turgovac, has been dubbed the Lesnar Cup. Literally, there is a Brock Lesnar drinking glass that the winner of this game gets every season.
Nice.
It's currently sitting inside of my cabinet because I won last year's matchup. I am 7-7 this year in fantasy football in this particular league. I'm going to make the playoffs. Top 8 make it. The bottom 2 teams are both 4-10, so I'm good regardless. But this is a chance for a winning season. In addition, this is a chance for me to retain the Lesnar Cup. The reason I say I want us to turn into a shootout is, guess who my starting quarterback in this game is? After Kyler tore his ACL and cost me a game last week, my backup quarterback in this league is Trevor Lawrence, who would have put up 51 for me last week. So anything resembling a similar performance by Lawrence, I'm here for it.
Look, as long as we keep Micah Parsons off of him, we'll be all right, and in turn, you be all right.
Here's hoping. All right, your other pick. There's a reason I had you do this one second. If you look at the picks, you'll understand why.
Yeah, because as I said before, Broncos country. Oh, I'm seeing it more now. Oh boy,
Gonna be a fun one.
Broncos country. you're fried. As I said with the whole family revenge, it is not number 11 for the Washington Redacted's Mark Rippon coming out on the field again with the
Oh my God! It's Brett Rippon starting for the Broncos or for the Broncos.
Yeah, did you not see Russell Wilson concussion and that big ass dot on his head?
I saw that he was listed as Q. Is that Q officially an O now?
I'm gonna double check, but I have heard a lot of things with concussion protocol, and good lord, the look on his face after he took that hit. I'm like, get his ass out of the game.
Okay, so you do realize that this is Brett Ripken versus Colt McCoy.
Yes.
Wow, we might be the only two people in the country that care about this game.
I think that checks out. I really do.
Go ahead and make your pick officially.
I'm officially making it. Give me the cards, give me the points, +3, and you know how I am when it comes to key numbers. They always seem to help one way or another.
So obviously the Carmaic Gods have this game end in a 3-point Denver victory. And then both of us get hit with a push because I have Denver -3 as one of my locks for this week. And the reason being is because of Murray's injury and the overall season of discontent in Arizona right now. I would not be surprised if DeAndre Hopkins demanded a trade yesterday.
I mean, so you're basically saying we could be in line for a 12-9 Denver win, last second field goal. Yeah, I can see something like that happening.
It is a case of deja vu all over again. The only thing missing is Al Michaels not giving a single solitary fuck.
Well, hey, at least this one isn't on Amazon, so that helps a whole bunch of, well, some people.
Denver, Arizona at Denver, so the game is on Fox. Man, if this isn't a D-level announced team game, I don't know if I've seen one before.
If they even have a D level, it's like, all right, who are two random jobbers we can get for this one? Go.
You know what it is? They're going to break into the Fox Sports College basketball crew to call it. Legit, we might be the only two people in the country that care about this game now.
Yeah.
My other prediction for this week, in addition to Denver -3 against Arizona, it's 1:00 Kirk Cousins time, baby. Here's hoping, anyway. Give me Minnesota -4 hosting Indianapolis. On Saturday night. Oh, shit, it's Saturday. On Saturday afternoon football. So does the 1 p.m. mojo count if it's not a Sunday game? Like, is it day specific?
In my previous experiences, and this is the rub, normally, as we get the obligatory fuck Kirk Cousins.
There you go.
Normally, as long as not a lot of people are watching the game, which if it happens it's Sunday at 1:00, he's fine. I don't know if, even though this is a Saturday, a lot of people are going to be necessarily watching this 1:00 game. So I think the mojo should still be in effect.
Well, here's hoping. I'm going to go ahead and take Minnesota -4 hosting Indianapolis.
And of course, I get this. Your theory is not proven. The results are inconclusive, and you should feel bad. No, I shouldn't. I see what you did there, but guess who's in the lead, even though it is on tiebreakers and pick'ems. And if this happens, I won't be the one saying fuck Kirk Cousins. Not as much.
I will be. All right, Eric. I gave you mine. Who are yours?
Well, as someone who actually knows when low-hanging fruit is indeed low-hanging and delicious, this time I am taking Kansas City, where they will actually be low-hanging fruit. And even though this is a big number, I still don't see Houston going anywhere close. Give me Kansas City -14. against those Texans.
It is a really big number, but Buffalo has a challenging game against Miami on Saturday. Kansas City will know what Buffalo has done by the time they play on Sunday, and will know that a win will either keep them know that a win for Kansas City is either going to keep them in line with Buffalo for the 1 seed or move them back ahead of Buffalo for the 1 seed in the AFC. So I wouldn't be surprised to see Kansas City absolutely blow out Houston. And it's too late. I already did. The damage is done.
All right, great job. We've successfully made me the butt of the joke of the network league. I mean,
but if you want to send hate mail, you can send it to @HEBTheEagle or HEBTheEagle@yahoo.com. There you go. You're welcome.
Not to mention, Andy, we didn't do this to you. You did this to you.
Make your other pick so we can get out of here.
My other one, equally low-hanging, Philadelphia, fly, Eagles, fly. You're in Chicago. You're used to the cold. This is another team that's a mess. I don't feel bad taking this even though at -9. Give me the Eagles to show out one more time and look to wrap things up as they steamroll towards the number 1 seed.
Is Fields back or is he still on the injured list?
I'm going to check that.
While he does that, I will take this opportunity to thank everyone for listening to the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report.
Sports in black and white.
A presentation of the Not a Network Podcast Network. Twitter.com/Not a Network Pods. YouTube.com by searching for the Not a Network Podcast or by specifically searching for the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report. Twitch.tv/AWP Podcast. New name coming 2023. In addition, you can find us amongst other places as well. Our all sports editions coming up here shortly. Erik, as he mentioned, did a special guest spot with the R&R Sports Report this past Tuesday. So quick, get well soon to Robert Hagan, and regards to Randy Isbell as well. One last thing before we get out of here, though, do you have the question at hand? Is Fields playing?
It looks like he is. I was trying to see with the different injury reports. He's not on it, which is good because he missed a couple
of games because of his shoulder.
Right. Well, luckily they won't have to be dealing with the Intercepticon or Tim Boyle for that matter.
I'd rather have Tim Boyle. Bonus picks just for the sakes of ha-has, hee-hees, and hoo-hoos. Not hoo-has, though. Family show. I will take, in college football bowl games for week 1 here, games between tomorrow and next Thursday, I will take the Florida Gators +10 against the Oregon State Beavers, because everybody knows a Gator loves to chomp on a good Beaver. And I will take the Boise State Broncos -10.5 over Sean Garmer's alma mater, North Texas.
And a little bit of a throwback to another venerated former host on the kickoff, lives in the area, though not a fan of the team. Give me Marshall -10 against UConn. Sorry, even the great Randy Edsel ain't going to rescue this one, although maybe that's a good thing. And give me Miami of Ohio +10.5 against UAB in the Bahamas.
3:00 p.m. on ESPN tomorrow, the first of the bowl games. Shout out Jason Teasley, first of all, real quick. Hoping to have him on as a guest spot at some point, like we did with Sean, perhaps for the All Sports. In addition, UConn or you can't?
In this case, it would definitely be more of a you can't.
With apologies to Steve Harvey.
Both of
them. He is the DSDO, Erik Watkins at Squid Sports Head. I am the voice of reason. Allegedly. My name is Harry Broadhurst at HEB the Eagle on Twitter. You can find the show again at Not a Network Pods on Twitter as well. You have been listening and or watching, most likely, the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report.
Sports in black and white.
All sports edition coming at you on all of these same affiliates in just a few moments. See you next week.
You have been listening to the Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report, Sports in Black and White, a presentation of the Not a Network Podcast Network, available online via most major streaming services. Please stay tuned for more Broadhurst-Watkins Sports Report over most of our Not a Network channels.